The activations that I do are based on numerical sequence and gematria of numbers. They come in mathematical patterns that affect all life source and affect our DNA. It affects the Earth DNA, it affects our human DNA, and it affects all species that relate and are connected to one another. In my workshop tonight, I will be downloading a numerical gematria formula that works on the 8 activations. I will be bringing in the number 44. Each and every one of you who attend my workshop will get a 44 activation, and we will download it into Estes here. Thank you. All right, first of all, I want to thank the amazing speakers that have preceded me. I can't tell you what it's like. These are tough acts to follow, but I am grateful that so many of them have come through with such incredible information that only makes my job easier. The great information that Golden Eagle has brought through, that Bobby's brought through about the waters, that Michael has brought through about the 432 frequency, that Carrie, unbelievable, great divine equation that you have brought in into this wonderful Star Knowledge Conference. You did an incredible, beautiful activation. Carrie and I are sort of cousins that we both work with divine activations. And it was kind of nice to see that there were some similar numbers in her activations that I used. That was great confirmation for myself. So let me tell you what an 8 activation is and what does it mean by the one I am. This is what these activations that I do work on, and I do individual and group activations. And one of the things that I noticed when I was doing healing, and doing a lot of my medium work, doing a lot of my intuitive work, one thing I hated was bringing in the same information over and over again. And have you ever met people that they seem to get in the same problem over and over again? And they tell you, I'll never do that again. I am changing it this time. This time I'm going to find a different partner. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to work with my money. And of course, the healings and the great work that we're doing certainly are a help. But sometimes I was noticing 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, and it was driving me crazy. I'm like, oh, you're back again, and I have the same thing to say. And I couldn't stand it. And I wanted the healing work that would move energy, that would move patterning out of our DNA. Consciousness is alive. Consciousness has motion. It is torsion. It moves. Anything that has consciousness has life force. And consciousness is in our DNA. Our DNA are record keepers. They speak. Every molecule, every atom, all the codes in our DNA resonate to a language. And you could have a specific resonation, and you could find somebody across the world that is going to relate to whatever you have going on. One of my main goals was to find a way to move energy in a way where we could eradicate the patterns in our generations that no longer serves us. And of course, this works with all the elements as well, because we were talking about form and we're talking about fluid. We're talking about inversion and we're talking about ascension. So what started to happen was I became a matrix energetics practitioner. That is the modality that I use to bring in these activations. But know that frequency lives, and whether you do reconnection, you do shamanism, you do matrix energetics, no matter what healing modality you bring in, these frequencies will come through. Why? Because of the mathematical sequence that are attached to the God I am frequency. They'll come through every modality, because all modality is a part of that wonderful God I am. Now, we've all heard of 0 point frequency. 0 point. A lot of people think, well, that's God right there. 0 point, it's that vacuum. We can create from that energy sequence. This is fabulous. Well, that is only the divine finger of God, because God equals number one. Number one is the I am. God, in order to know God, must come back into God to experience God. One cannot be reversed, and you can't push it forward. It contains all that is. One is the ultimate mutable number that is in all frequency, all vibration, and in all things. So what had happened is I had started to work with a number of abductees, and I had started to work with people who were having some, Well, looks like I'm double mic'd. That's so I could speak twice as much frequency that I was bringing in. I can make it even stronger. After all, it is all a broadcast, right? And frequency does broadcast. It speaks. Have you gone in an elevator with somebody? You can feel energy right away. You're like, wow, there's something about this person. I love this person. Well, one of the things that started to happen to me when I worked on abductees, as I was noticing something kind of peculiar. Yeah, and we know that they have issues, boy. They have, it's other beings are controlling them. They seem to have trouble. They can't sleep at night. Their abundance suffers. I mean, I was hearing it from them, and I would take 2 hours to do one of the most incredible healings, activation work that I could do. And I would get a call 3 weeks later. I'm right back to the way I was. And I had what you call a spiritual tantrum. I yelled at God. I said, you better give me something, because this is not going to fly. Free will is our divine right. And being tricked out of our free will is a terrible thing. And that's exactly what illusion does. Illusion tricks us into choosing illusion as our reality. It feeds itself. And when we have something within our DNA that is open to the illusion, then our free will can be manipulated. It can be filled with all kinds of interdimensional illusions where you almost don't know what is real. What you think is real is almost what you download to be real, and then you live it and you believe it. And then the more you believe it, the more you feed it. So when you have issues as far as prosperity issues, relationship issues, patterns where you are suffering with addictions, fighting depression, trying to understand why this keeps coming back and coming up, and then you can't understand why it seems like you're choosing the pain that you are going through, well, guess what? The illusion is tricking you into buying into the illusion. So one of the things I really wanted to understand is, where was the access? How are people being accessed through an illusionary frequency when we are divine beings entitled to our free will, who are wanting to choose a God that loves us, become a part of that God, a God within us, and co-create for peace, love, harmony, and free humanity? And it just doesn't seem to be happening. Where the heck did this narcissistic God show up? The God who has favorites, the God who only saves certain people, the God that once you stop believing what this God wants you to believe, guess what? You're not getting into heaven. You lost your VIP pass. It's over. It's ridiculous. I mean, think about it. What kind of God is that? My God is pleased when I hurt you. What is that? That is called narcissism. You can't get enough. Narcissists cannot get enough feeding to satisfy it. It is endless. How much worship can you put out there before you're right with God? Well, let's see, you put in 42 hours, 63 minutes, I think you'll do. It doesn't make any sense. So what happens when you have a narcissistic God, narcissism becomes holy. You either become an extension of the God ego, or you become the martyr. Both are holy, and they act out in your relationships. They act out in your work situations. They act out in your life. And this dissatisfaction, this emptiness prevails. So there had to be a reason why this was happening. A narcissistic God is a part of illusion. It's not real. But why are we resonating to this type of God? Why do we get relationships where it seems like we can't please our partners, or we want to sacrifice ourselves endlessly to be loved? So there's something wrong with this picture. So after I threw my spiritual tantrum, I was actually at my day job. And I got a download. I said, great, guys. I'm in the middle of working. I said, oh no, you're going to listen to us. And sure enough, people went home early that day. And I heard, the 8's missing. Huh? The 8's missing. What are you talking about? 8's missing, check it. Well, you know, you ever seen these number ones, how the number 9s go into a gematria of patterns that go back into the number 1? I mean, it's really fascinating how numbers work together. And all these 9s go back into the number 1. And sure enough, I decided, well, they told me to get on the calculator. So here's something that you're going to find interesting. It's mathematics. And it's really very clever if you were to think about it. And I really believe this was designed by what I call more malevolent outworlders that wanted to program us as a slave race, to worship them as gods, as our God. I mean, look at all the wonderful worship and negative energy they got that they can feed on. And it's time that's going to stop, because now is the age of Aquarius. Now is the age and evolution of the light. This is why so many of these divine beings are coming through, why we are bringing in incredible and great activations and frequency, and each and every one of you are gods and goddesses. You wouldn't be attracted to this conference if you were not evolved enough to understand that this is what you want for yourselves. So when I divided 1 by 9, they told me, divide 1 by 9. I got a series of 1s. 0.1111111. And it was fascinating. They said, well, you know, that is the I am. We are made of all these 1111s, I ams, that go all the way throughout your esoteric frequency. That is your soul mapping. The God I am, all number 1. I said, wow, that's very cool. They said, well, we want you to divide it by 9 again. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. The 8 was missing. I'm like, hey, the 8's missing. They're like, doy. Like, what happened? Well, the story I basically got, you've got frequency, you've got a numerical order that you could put in a false illusionary frequency, a fake chain between that 7 and that 9. In other words, the illusion got programmed into our soul mapping, coming back into the number 1, I am God frequency. Pretty clever, right? Now we can't tell what's the illusion and what is reality, because the will of more benevolent beings that help program us, we are bending to that kind of will. Worse yet, as generations are born, it's like a snowball. Once something of consciousness comes into being, it starts to snowball. It gets bigger and bigger, and next thing you know, it gets in the blood. The blood and the DNA are record keepers. What they say in the Bible, by the blood of the fathers, guess what? It's real. The blood, the water It carries the codes. That's why it was so important that you brought in the water and talked about it. Thank you, Bobby. Hey, water. Ever try to hold water? Yeah, you absorb it. It doesn't work very well. It's fluid. It goes in you. It comes without you. It flows. You can put it in a cup and drink it, but you can't hold it. It's fluid. It carries DNA. It carries the earth DNA. We carry DNA in the blood. So what happens when we are able to put the 8 back in its rightful numerical sequence? So what I asked is, how is that done? And they told me the divine 72. That is the ultimate mathematical sequence that you can program into. Okay? So, mathematics here. 72. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 times 72 equals 0.88888. How about that? 72 divided by 9 equals 8. And if you divide it by 72, you get 0.111111. Ha. Now I got the mathematical sequences that I needed to bring the 8 back into its proper sequence. And what it does, because it's using the exact same formula, what was happening to these abductees that I saw holographic bodies filled with numerical information that got thrown into these people, and their physical body would acquiesce out to the information that they received, and then they were physically right back to where they were. But the access was in that false connection between the 7 and that 9. Now let me tell you, every one of you as healers could use this. Don't kid yourself. It's important. Notice Carrie brought in many, many 8s in her divine formula this morning. Many 1s and many 9s. And so there is a logic to this. So when you bring in the divine 72 numerically, the 8 takes its rightful place. It goes into the number 1s, fills up the soul mapping, and then the illusion immediately transmutes out, and what you get is divine manifestation, everyday manifestation. Not going through all these programs that cause us to not really know what our reality is, or causing to trick us into choosing something that is not to our most highest good as our true nature. It fooled us. So I couldn't wait to get my hands on this poor man. Called him up. I said, I think I got something. And I worked out formulas that brought in different master numbers, different numbers, that were able to bring that 8 right back through with the divine 72, coming right back into the number 1. And he never had a problem again. He called me and he said, thank God I was in the boxing ring with one hand behind my back. I didn't think I had a chance. Have you heard you can't help abductees? You can't do anything for them? Have you heard that? Try that. Try these numerical sequences. Yes, you can help them. You bet they can. Because the illusionary holographic bodies that they were receiving transmuted out immediately to his divine physical I am mapping. And so in other words, the illusion couldn't survive. The 8 took it. The 8 ate it. Don't think there isn't a thing with words, okay? They're powerful. So I have a lot of divine sequences of formulas that I love. But not only that, you can take these going back into infinite number of generations, and you can neutralize illusions that are patterned back in the generations as though it never existed in the first place. How many times have we worked with stories? We're going to reverse, we're going to heal, we're going to heal. Oh, you're back. Same problem. And neutralization is the true opposition. It's the true opposition. 0 point is where ether sits, where all potential is waiting to become manifested. Manifestation is potential waiting to happen. And each and every one of us have access to it. So you may put out fire with water, but fire doesn't put out water. There are elements that work together in a certain sequence, but they're not opposite. Hate is not the opposite of love. The opposite of love is indifference. It's feeling nothing. That's your true opposition. The opposite of water is no water. The opposite of fire is no fire. Neutralization. It's like it never happened. Things like darkness must have form. It must have a box to live in where consciousness can gather and make it happen. In other words, that's an object in the light, because darkness only lives by permission of the light. Because shadows hold form. And they could get darker and darker and more powerful. That's where people think darkness has power. So what happens when you take that object away out of the light? Poof, you can't even describe the shadow. It is though it never existed in the first place. Our stories are the illusions that we carry. Poof, no more story, no more templates, and then it's up to us to divinely manifest daily. And that is where free will and our divine right to free will comes in. Joan, I'd like to demo on you. Would that be all right? Now, this is one beautiful, elegant lady, let me tell you. Yeah, Carrie, if you don't mind. Matrix energetics can tend to get people to wobble a little bit, so I want to make sure she does not go back, okay? And how much time do we have? 20 minutes. Okay, so I want to read an activation rate, so I'm going to do this pretty quickly. No, she's not going to do that. All right. I do have a numerical sequence of a... I do have a 0 point rate, but it's a modality in itself, so I'm just going to call out the 0 point rate. If I start counting up numbers after numbers, we'll be here a long time. But I am going to call out a numerical 33, and I'm giving her a 33 activation. So here we go. Go ahead and just whisper me your full name.
Joan Lisa Trump.
Joan Lisa Trump. Birth date?
12/6/65.
And place of birth?
Chicago.
Ah, I'm going to tell you something, guys. Do you know a lot of my clients were born in Chicago? I don't know why that is, but it's very, very fascinating. And your age?
50.
Yeah. She's preserved. Obviously, she keeps herself in the refrigerator at night. All right. Let's, I'm going to have her to Carrie's back. Okay. Now, this is how it works. I'm going to call out my numerical sequence. You're going to hear the 8s in there. Now, for instance, a number like 42 could be 4 minus 2, 4 times 2, 4 divided by 2, 4 times 2. So you're going to hear these sequences come out. And I also warn you that they're eye color changers. I've changed the eye color on 98% of my clients. Often getting a blue rim or a darker rim around the iris. I've changed people from green to blue because when DNA changes, things happen. Okay? Here we go.
How do you want mine?
You're
Where do you want me
perfect.
to go? Like
Right?
in my head?
Nowhere.
Okay.
Just be up and darling.
Just relax.
Hang out. All right. Doesn't have to go anywhere, trust me. All right. 1 divided by 9 equals 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Divided by 9 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. I'm skipping the 8, but I'm going to bring it back. 33, 3 times 3 equals 9, times 8 equals 72, divided by 12 equals 6, times 6 equals 36, minus 12 equals 24, plus 9 equals 33. 48, 4 plus 8 equals 12 times 6 equals 72, divided by 9 equals 8, divided by 72 equals 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's the matrix. We got you well covered, I promise. 44, 4 plus 4 equals 8 times 9 equals 72, divided by 2 equals 36, minus 3 equals 33. Yep, we got you. 2, 2, 2. 2 times 2 equals 4 times 2 equals 8 times 6 equals 56. Minus 8 equals 48. 4 times 8 equals 32 plus 1 equals 33. 3 times 3 equals 9 times 8 equals 72. 7 plus 2 equals 9 times 8 equals 72. Divided by 9 equals 8. Divided by 72 equals 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Integrate and activate. 33, I am activation. Lisa Trump, Joan Lisa, for Joan Lisa Trump now. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 to the power of 3 now. How does that feel? Now I'm going to demo a neutralization rate. Okay, back in your body, darling. You have to be in your body to get this, right? And I'll just demo how the neutralization rate, I'm going to go back infinite number of generations on her mother's side. And I'm just going to attach to whatever she needs. We're not going to call it individual personal stuff. And a personal rating, that would happen. So I'm going to bring in the 0 point neutralization rate, and we are neutralizing back. Infinite number of generations on her mother's side, whatever she needs. And I bring in the purification of energy rate. Bring in the God I am presence now. So Spirit knows whatever she needed neutralized. If it had been something like maybe emotional abuse or something that was back in her mother's line, it would neutralize. What would happen then that she would no longer resonate to that kind of emotional abuse anymore, if that was her situation. And neither would her children. That's the great thing. This goes forward, backwards, and the ancestors come in through as crossovers because they can take on imprints in the afterlife. Thank you, Carrie. They can take on imprints in the afterlife, and they will come into their new lives with them, and this removes it off of them. So it heals the ancestors. It heals the person. It heals the mothers and fathers, and it heals the children. Let's just say it transforms and transmutes. Isn't that cool? So let me look at you. It's kind of hard to tell here. She's got beautiful blue eyes anyway, but her eyes look very translucent blue to me. She's got some stars in them. And let me look at your rims. Yeah, her rims are starting to darken. So we'll have Golden Eagle look in her eyes, and he'll tell her what he sees is different. But thank you, John. Now, if you do reconnection, no matter what you do, this works. It's great stuff. How much time do we have? 15? Great. I have a treat for all of you. Not only can you bring these in as individual modalities, you can bring in group consciousness through the 8. You can bring in group consciousness through the I am number one. And let me tell you kind of a funny story that one of my friends had somebody that was she had somebody around her that was kind of into something kind of dark. And when he saw her rates, he tried to spray them with the oil that this person used. Let me tell you what happened. It neutralized instantly. Dark magic does not hold up against this. There's something it's like numerical holy water. So how do you reverse the number one? How do you make it go away? It's the ultimate mutable, something to think about. What I have for you is called the Broadcast Prosperity Rate and Activation. So we're going to download this for each and every one of you using the same 72, the 8, and the I am number one. So relax, get ready to receive. And I'm going to bring in the purification of energy rate to each and every one of you. And to each and every one of you watching this live stream, and those who will be watching this in the future. Thank you. 9 times 8 equals 72, divided by 9 equals 8, divided by 9 equals 0.888, 888, divided by 9 equals 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0, going into 0-point frequency. Neutralize all consciousness and aspects associated with control of all divine beings listening now. Infinite number of generations. Divided by 9 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equals 1.10 times 8 equals 8.8. Engage Gaia frequency. We're going to connect this to the DNA of the earth. Engage Gaia frequency to receive prosperity consciousness. 222 minus 1010.888 to the power of 9 equals 7099.992 plus 260 minus 5353 equals 12192.992 equals 15.20 times 1010 equals 1025.2 to the power of 13 equals 13327.6. 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 7 plus 6 equals 22 times 11 equals 222. Integrate abundance template, divine equation. 8.999 times 72 equals 647.928. 6 plus 4 plus 7 equals 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. 9 plus 2 plus 8 equals 19. Power of 0-point frequency now. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1 plus 8 equals 9 times 8 equals 72. Divided by 6 equals 12 times 8 equals 216. 2 times 1 times 6 equals 12 times 6 equals 72. Divided by 8 equals 9. 9 times 0.888 equals 7992. Divided by 8 equals 999 minus 888 equals 111 times 1 million equals 0.000111 times 111000 equals 12.3210. Disengage from all pain bodies of interference now. 2020 times 8444 equals 17056. 8801705 plus 6880 equals 8585 plus 5858 equals 14443 minus 10003 equals 444. Or 0-point frequency now. Neutralize all narcissistic consciousness and aspects associated with the narcissistic control of monies, of abundance, of livelihood, of slavery, of consumer pride, of poverty consciousness, and of a revolving debt for all the divine beings receiving this activation. Infinite number of generations, mothers and fathers line, all alternate, direct, and parallel timelines, and all bodies spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, ethereal, and all translucent bodies now. All monies in abundance, livelihood are now brought into the point of I am God, creation of love. 999, 999 divided by 111, 111 equals 9 times 8 equals 72, divided by 9 plus 1.10 equals 9.111111111111. Integrate and activate broadcast prosperity rate activation now. One of the things Carrie mentioned, Commander K, the head of the Rocky Mountain region here with the Galactic Fleets. He connects with other fleets intergalactically throughout all time, space, consciousness, alternate and direct timelines, parallel timelines, thousands of light years away, and brings in these activations for us. He's wonderful. So we thank you. And some say that I've seen him quite handsome. Thank you. On a note, I want to end with, love is the universal consciousness. In every language, every planet, every language, intergalactically, every universe, there is a word for love. Love is the key to bring in the God I am into your hearts. Always. Thank you.